What up? This is Sean, Lonegevity with the New Old Heads podcast, and we just finished wrapping up shooting episode 443, and we had Brother to the Night on again as Maja 7th was out. This week we had discussions on Drake's new song, what's it, something about Miss Me? What did I miss? We also did a lyric breakdown. Then we also talked about the Wu-Tang Clan with Raekwon dropping a new album soon, and what the Wu-Tang Clan's legacy is and if it can ever be replicated. We also talked about how the Senate voted 99-1 to strike an AI provision from legislation after weeks of criticism from both Republicans and Democrats, which is a really good thing. Make sure you tune in, get the full uncut episode at patreon.com/newoldheads. And yeah.
You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads.
Welcome to the New Old Heads, episode 443. I am Jay Diff, and I am here with my other brothers from the show. Start off with Jay Moore. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, man. You know, summertime in the city. You know how it goes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Longevity. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? Another day.
Another dollar.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right.
Yeah, get that money.
Yep.
And back again in the fold is Brother to the Night. How you doing, my bro?
I'm swell, good brother. How are you?
Good. I'm great, man.
You know.
Awesome. Apparently Drake is returning soon. Drake is preparing for his next summer run, I guess. Drake's What Did I Miss? The video with all the guns and him dancing by himself. That looked very depressing. It topped US Spotify and Apple Music charts after its recent release. The track is believed to be the lead single from his upcoming album, Iceman, with streaming numbers climbing and anticipating building. Iceman could become one of Drake's most quote-unquote successful releases yet. Otherwise, I put that in quotes because it depends on how we define that.
Drake has been very successful as far as those metrics are concerned, so that's a lot to say.
Yeah. So What Did I Miss sounds like, and shouts to Maja 7th, this was his contribution here. He said, What Did I Miss sounds like it's all about Drake feeling betrayed. How do you think this will make his new album, Iceman, sound? And I'm going to add another piece to that we can maybe go on. Is it going to sound any different than anything else he's done?
It's going to sound cold and lonely.
You think?
Just like that video. Yeah, I don't know, man. He could have kept that respectfully. It's going to be successful. The project's going to be successful because everybody wants to hear what he has to say after coming off the project or
so
whatever.
Just off GP, people don't click and see.
Exactly.
So that's a given.
But those numbers, I don't believe none of that shit. And the only reason I say that because each time he drops a project, the numbers go up. You know what I mean? This is the most streamed out. And the projects don't get better. You know what I mean? So he streams and farming streams and all that shit, I really believe that to be true. Yeah. On both sides.
So does he. That's why he's suing.
Yeah. And that's the sad part about it. Like, man, you only crying because it didn't work in your favor. But when it worked in your favor all this time, you ain't have nothing to say. Frustrated, man. Or it's not. I'm not frustrated because I really don't have a dog in the fight. But I am annoyed by it. That's all I have to say about that.
I've said this before, and it sounds like a knock on Drake and his music, and it's not. It's just a reality. Look, Drake will always have girls and little kids. Okay, so those people
that
will.
Sounded crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but
allegedly.
I mean, wow, I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah, I know how you meant
I think
it, but yeah, that sounded crazy.
And I think you're right to say girls because women, not so much ananymore.
Okay, so
once you get to a certain age group, it don't really hit like that no more.
Because the thing is, I feel like, I mean, I know I've been away from the club, but not for that long. His records, older records of things he's been featured on, they still worked.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just
I'm just talking about new.
Okay, with the new records, my thing is this: you saw if you're the crazy thing about this song is it would have been great if it came out and everything he hadn't done up to this point has been a reaction. Not so much Nokia. I'm going to give him more credit there. Nokia wasn't a reaction to what's been going on. I don't think. I haven't listened to that song extensively to really break it down. But
what about the video, though?
The video, like I said, the video was corny.
Yeah,
but wasn't it a reaction in a sense?
But That's the thing. Like, say he didn't sue the rap music industry. Say he literally had been gone this whole time and he came back and was like, hey, what'd I miss? Like, that would have been different. But the fact that he has been reacting to things this entire time, whether it be in front of the cameras, not really in front of the cameras, but behind the scenes with all these lawsuits and, you know, all these other things that he's kind of had to say, then when I see this, and I hear the video, and I hear the song, and I listen to the video, whatever, with the guns and standing by the pool. I mean, you're just saying that's all I got left is
me
and us, it's just us and the guns. You know, out to Rockefeller. Some of y'all know the vibe.
I feel like that was some sort of interesting statement, obviously, that he's trying to make, but I don't feel like it connects on any type of meaningful level. And maybe that's just because I'm not a Drake fan, but I looked at it and I'm just like, this is kind of corny.
It would have had a little bit more oomph had he done it 6 to 8 months ago.
You think? I don't
know, man. It's just this wasn't anything new from Drake.
Musically?
No, not
definitely.
to me.
Musically, okay.
Not to me, because you could release this song at any given period and it would still sound like the same Drake, regardless of what he went through this past year. And he's acting like he doesn't remember what happened.
Yeah.
It's like you're trying to Men in Black zap yourself and act like last year just didn't happen. You want people to fill you in. You know exactly what happened because you got something going on involving what happened last year. So as far as like, do I feel like he's been betrayed or this song is about him being betrayed? Yeah, I definitely think he's taking that angle as far as feeling like everybody's against him. But you kind of brought a lot of this on yourself because he's not explaining what he's done in this situation or why people are looking at him side-eyed, so to speak, because of whatever happened, whatever. Other people were talking about it. He's not. And then for you to have a lawsuit in front of you, you now have to tread lightly yourself. And the reason why I say that is I don't think anybody that he's talking about is going to sue him. But it would be kind of hypocritical for you to, you know what I'm saying, put your chest out there like I can say whatever I want to say, but you can't. You know what I'm saying? That would be kind of weird.
No accountability.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
What do you feel like Drake has to be accountable for?
Why people don't with him.
But, you know, people don't.
Hip hop.
Okay. Yeah. Hip hop right now is not feeling Drake. I wouldn't even say it's because of what, you know, the battle with Kendrick. I think it's when you decide you lose a rap battle, like many have lost before you and have been able to move on and keep things moving in their careers. But then you decided you're just going to basically sue hip hop.
Well, this is the thing. Had he continued to move past it with, like he did, like he seemed to do with Nokia, and he just dropped a new record that was hot, it would have been cool. I'll tell you this much. I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of hearing about the beef between them two. Like, I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of hearing them talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't heard anything from Kendrick outside of those records that he dropped a year ago. He's performed them and he looks like he's tired of performing them. Drake cannot leave it alone, unfortunately. And we hear it in this new project. You know what I mean? Even though he didn't say anything about Kendrick.
Said something about LeBron James in the pop out.
And DeMar DeRozan. I think that's what it was. Those are
beefing with NBA stars.
Yeah, those are the people who betrayed him, according to the records, according to the lyrics. That's what I deemed of.
Yeah, so there had to be a reason why they're not to mess with him anymore.
Or the rappers, or maybe the Weeknd.
So that was before all that.
All of them people.
The
Metro.
dignitary that went to the concert that he was upset at.
Oh, yeah. Would that dignitary be somebody that he considered he loved hanging around who tried him?
What stood out to me about this record is the thesis of the whole record is, what did I miss? Because I've done so much for so many people. Why are y'all turning your back on me? And it essentially feels like, this is also why it's hard to have any type of compassion for somebody such as Drake and what he embodies as being kind of a soulless vessel that makes music, is that you went through this entire thing. You had somebody tell you exactly what we view you as, a whole bunch of people also came to and said, you are this. And then he responds with this idea like, I don't understand. What did I miss? It's like, okay, well, I guess that was Kendrick's point. And that was everybody's point. Like you literally just proved the point with your first big record, the lead up to your new record, that you're exactly who everybody said that you were. And there's nothing else that needs to be verified or validated. That's the way I look at it.
That's the clip right there.
Yeah. Besides the subject matter of this song, how do y'all feel about this as a song in general? Like, is it a good song? Is it something that you can rock with, or
no?
Okay.
And I think if you're getting ready for your rollout for, it's kind of crazy to think about Drake having a comeback album, if you will. This isn't it. You need to do something that the women who have carried you really this far as you being a presence in the clubs and on the radio for the better part of 15 years now, 10, 15 years now, more than that. You need to do something for them. Don't try to come after the hard rocks and the lyrical miracles and the downtrodden hip hop fans.
He didn't do that either.
That's what the last album was supposed to be.
No, I think that's what sexy songs for you. Yeah, or sexy. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Well, he needs to do that, and whatever industry connects you have left, the people, the hit makers, the people who would ride for you and put something together, you need to be out here. You need to be hit maker Drake.
I don't think so. I feel like he is always going to be that. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's the default for him. It doesn't matter what he makes. He's always going to be a hit maker. It doesn't matter. He could go take a on an album and he would get more streaming numbers than
he did
a regular.
With Tootsie Slide.
I'm just saying, like, it doesn't matter what he does. He is hit maker. I think what would potentially bring more people back to his corner that maybe were on the borderline a little bit was if he actually tried harder. Mm-hmm. Like, if you go make an actual hip hop record, make a dope hip hop album. That's what the hip hop fans want.
Do what he did when he dropped the album before Sexy Songs for You, where he did the deluxe version and dropped like 3 or 4 extra tracks. The Scary Hours.
Do the whole thing like
those songs that he dropped.
Those 4 songs
were nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he could do a whole project like that,
yeah,
I'm feeling that.
I just feel like I know that he doesn't have to convince me, right? Like, who cares about me? But like the people that think like I do, that are hip hop fans, that are part of hip hop, that like hip hop, and he is in a rap battle with Kendrick, obviously, like, is wanting to be one of those guys. It's like, give me some hip hop stuff.
Yeah. It ain't enough of us.
I think here's the thing, and I've said this before. Drake could do this and he would not lose any fans. He would only gain fans because the people that rock with him blindly will still rock with him blindly. That's just the type of person they are.
Yeah. They'll just say, what do you want now? I will say this about this Drake rollout, because
and it would probably
this is his second album after.
Is it?
Yeah, because he dropped some Sexy Songs for You.
Oh, okay.
And now this album.
That's right.
So would that last album be considered a flop, or would it be just considered a something that wasn't as commercially successful as a Drake would like?
I mean, depends on like what we're comparing it to, right? Because I don't think you can't really
himself.
If you compare it to himself, potentially, but I don't know the numbers. Honestly, I don't really care.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, Drake. It's like Mike's very first statement on the show. Drake is kind of Teflon. Like, Drake is a pop star, so it doesn't really matter what he does, in my opinion. Like, he can drop an absolute flop and people will not care.
Yeah.
When this album drops, it's going to be number one.
It absolutely is going to be number one. You can't even question that.
For like 2 weeks. And then we're going to forget about it. Just like the last album.
I'll say this.
And the last album and the last album.
They
don't have no staying power.
If he has some solid singles on there, he might stay afloat a little bit longer. And every track on that album might be number one on the charts for a while. Like when Kendrick dropped his whole album was number one. Every one of the songs
was in the top 10.
Were top 10 for like 2 weeks. Something like that. I don't know. But I don't want to misquote it. But he really needs to knock something out of the park. And I have a feeling that is going to be the same thing that we've always gotten.
Corn.
Well, this is the thing. When you talk about, I saw something about this is the summertime rollout or whatever, and I'm like, you know what? I've already seen back to school supplies in the store. Summertime rollout should have started 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is this when all the college kids get back to school. You're hoping that's going to be the one. I don't know, because summertime, there are a lot of people who've tried to do summertime rollouts, and you can't start it in July and August.
Well, the regular rollout isn't the same anymore.
True, and like you can't, and it's so hard to say, oh, I'm going to have song of the summer, when a lot of times that's something that's organic. The people pick song of the summer.
Song of the summer is just a thing people say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Respectfully, like watching that video, Drake looks like the old dude that doesn't know he's old.
That's why he dressed up and went to work.
I guess so. Like just like the dancing and the dance moves that he doing and man, it's just like, man, like, have a seat, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying have a seat. I almost, if of course he doesn't listen to me or anybody else, I'd be like, this is your comeback season, and I'd somehow try to work that into the rollout that he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
This is just not it as far as a record. I when I think about, okay, what's going to work commercially, what's going to make it for maybe the rap nerds or the people who wish Drake would go back to his comeback season, that made me a Drake fan initially. That guy's gone at this point, and I haven't heard from him in quite a while.
Yeah,
and I don't think he's coming back, and that's fine, because time moves on and everybody grows, I guess.
He doesn't have to try anymore. I mean, Drake's in a position in his career where, regardless of if he's reading the room or not, as far as if he wants us to like it or not, it doesn't really matter. And I think that's why he continues with the same formula, because his core fan base is going to stand for him regardless. Like, we want him to drop something to make us bigger fans of him.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point in his career, he honestly doesn't even need it.
Not going to happen anyway.
So even if he's, so to speak, taking a gamble, it's still not really a gamble, because he's not going to lose anybody. It's only to gain more people. But at this point, he doesn't need it.
And honestly, let's just keep it real. I know there's some people say, oh, he lost fans from the battle. I don't think he lost any fans from the battle.
He lost hip-hop fans.
Those people weren't really his fans to begin with. Not the people who actually went out and bought the tickets for his shows.
I disagree.
Or who actually might have streamed his records ad nauseum. Like, there are people who were casual fans of his.
Yeah.
He might have lost, or maybe
people on the fringes.
Yeah,
for sure.
On the fringes.
Absolutely.
But like the people the same people who push his records to number one as soon as they come out, he never lost those people.
Yeah.
And I think, we talk, or at least I have, talking about super serving your audience. Get back to that, Drake, because quite honestly, you shouldn't be worrying about the people who played Not Like Us all through last summer. Those people aren't coming back. They were never with you in the beginning.
I mean, to me, I know we're criticizing this record, but like, sounds like he's doing exactly the same thing that he's been doing for the last 10 years. Yeah. So I don't think anything has changed. I think he is super. I think he already is. I think I think he's doing all that already. I just think he just made another record. It just so happens all this stuff is going on. It's just not impressive to me. It just sounds like Drake, and Drake is who Drake is. If you like Drake, that's cool. Congratulations.
Honestly,
but
the only fans that he should be worried about
are the only fans.
Wow. He should be worried about the youth that came up last summer rocking out to Kendrick. Because a lot of them, like, I've DJ'd some parties with kids specifically coming up to me asking me to play Kendrick songs. Weren't requesting Drake songs. So that kind of changes the demographic as far as people coming up.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I can see that, but I also, like, we're talking about art. I know there's the conversation about hip hop being super competitive, but I think the normal person does not give a flying whether it's Kendrick or Drake if it's a dope record And so they'll just rock with it regardless.
Yeah, because
personally,
we're not talking about art when we talk about Drake. We're talking about product.
Right.
It depends, man. Because I remember being in high school and you were either a Biggie fan or a Pac fan. And I definitely liked both of them, but I preferred Pac. Like if I had to be like, who resonates with me more? Who am I playing more?
Yeah, but Terry, you bought both their albums, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what I'm saying. Like, and I did too.
When you hear "What Did I Miss," is there anything artistic about that record?
No.
I mean, if you want to put your fake, feather in your hat on and be like, oh man, all these guns probably signify all the people that have betrayed Drake, and he's standing in a room with a bunch of icebergs. That's deep. But it's like there's levels to this. Drake is always like, here. And
come a little lower.
And no, when I say like how many levels deep he's going, he's like one or two.
Got you.
The people that I enjoy is like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. It's down here. It's like you have to use your head a little bit. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with not having to use your head all the time. That's perfectly fine. But like, there's nothing that he makes to where I feel it's going to stand the general test of time, to where people will come back to it outside of it being a popular moment, to where it's like going to like really affect somebody's life. I just don't see him making stuff like that. And
yeah, I don't either. But I have seen, back to the whole kids and trying to attach to the youth. Mm-hmm. I've seen videos of kids that were really into Kendrick's last album, video recorded, rapping them bar by bar.
Yeah.
I don't see kids doing that with Drake releases. That's why I'm saying I feel like he needs to somehow tap into that energy that they will rock with him, because that's the future of his career right there.
Sure, especially because of how he's said. But think of it like this. As these kids get older, right, they're going to have certain songs that resonate with them when they're 16, 17, 18 years old.
Right.
They're not going back to the same cookie cutter records that were hot 20 years ago that the same 16, 17, and 20-year-olds were resonating with. That's not what they're not going back to those specific records and being like, oh man, this is a very interesting piece of art that I need to analyze. It's like, no, this was a hot record.
The only way that he's going to or would be able to evolve himself is to start tapping into that energy, to where I'm creating timepieces that are bigger than the moment.
Yes.
It has to be something bigger than the moment that they're going to resonate with and make them want to actually listen to some other stuff of his. Yeah. Because everything that he did isn't just trash.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? He's got some good albums as a whole out there.
Yeah.
But in order for him to actually, you know what I'm saying, elevate his career, I think, if he wants to elevate it more than what it already is, because I mean, like we said, he's a pop star. Yeah. He needs to tap into that.
I think if he wants to be like undeniable, like this undeniable,
like how he thinks he is already.
Yeah, I think that's what he needs to tap into, because I think this is kind of one of the biggest arguments to when you can put a Kendrick Lamar and a Drake up against each other. Kendrick makes music that if I'm 16 today and I go back and I reevaluate both of these people's type of music that they're making at the time, Kendrick's stuff is a lot more conceptual and interesting to decipher and to get into, as opposed to Drake's stuff is pretty much just surface level stuff that's going on, the same 4 subject matters over and over again. So he doesn't have a lot of longevity in that particular aspect, outside of the fact that they were massive hits that people are like going to.
But almost in a way, Drake's music is a perfect time capsule of what was happening
in that moment
in pop culture at that time, if you will.
Sure.
Like those songs resonated perfectly for the time that they were released. Some of them have aged better than others. Some of them haven't aged well at all. But I don't see anyone writing their doctoral thesis on views.
Yeah, this is the thing about that. Yes, it was a perfect time capsule for that moment. But did you feel anything? The songs
if
do
I was
not
outside,
make you.
Yeah.
No, you created some moments to it.
Yeah.
But the song in itself, you didn't feel nothing from it. You know what I mean? Like it was a song that played when you was out or whatever.
Yeah,
so
it didn't breathe life into you.
Yeah, when you called it soulless, he makes soulless music. I mean, that's kind of what it is, man. Like it's music for the moment to go out and party. We're gonna have a good time, have some drinks, have some girls around, and it's gonna be a good thing. But when I'm at home, or if I'm trying to, if I'm having deep introspective moments by myself, sometimes
You ain't turning.
I'm not gonna get that. Yeah, I'm not gonna hear it. Drake's music is for
passive listening.
Yeah, background music.
It's a vibe.
It's party shit.
Well, I remember when Kendrick came out with "I Love Myself." I remember hearing that song. They're like, and they, did the whole rollout thing for it. And I remember hearing this, and I'm like, this is awful. I did not like that record at all. But I had to hear it within the context of the rest of the project.
I like that record.
I just heard it, and I don't know if it was the sample. It was something, or maybe it was just where, and I heard it on the radio, and I was just like,
I heard
no.
the live version before I heard the recorded version.
It was literally an affirmation. It was him talking to himself, literally having to tell him, "I love myself."
Yeah, I get all of that, but I'm with Jay Moore. When I first heard it by itself, I want
because after I had heard, after Good Kid, Mad City, and this kind of, I don't want to say happy-go-lucky. I wasn't trying to hear that, but I had to hear it within the context of the rest of the album, and it fits. And I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it now."
Nah, I feel that.
Yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth on this type of stuff because on one hand side of the coin, it's like I don't really want to care or judge this stuff at all. Like Drake does make a specific type of music for a specific type of thing, and that is perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not typically what I'm interested in, and I think that's okay as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like the positing of comparison of a Drake and a Kendrick together, or a Drake and any type of artist together that actually puts that looks at their art outside of a simple metric.
Man,
and it's just
it's never going to end now. Like from here on out, anytime
they're going to be tied together. One
of the two drop, it'll always be a comparison for some reason.
There's nothing new under the sun, though, man. We went through this in our day it's just a new Jay Nas. That's all it is, man. You know what I mean? Because Nas was the one dropping the conceptual projects, you know what I mean? And the deep thought-provoking records. And Jay was giving you the party club records, but the difference between the two is Jay was giving you some of that too. It was medicine in the candy.
Yep.
You're not getting that with Drake, man. Yeah. That's the difference between the two.
But that's okay. I don't want Drake to try to force being deep. That would be the worst thing he could do for his career.
Mm-hmm.
Just go,
He could go and rap really well though. That'd be nice.
Okay, that's what he could do. Look, I don't care. Look, sometimes it's one. I heard someone else say this. Something can be in bad taste in your say. You just feel like someone consistently rapping about hoes and strip clubs and rims. You consider that to be in bad taste, but it can't taste bad.
Yeah,
and that's the difference between. I think where a lot of criticism from, I'll say people my age, because I'm the one closest to 50. A lot of the stuff that I hear from contemporary hip hop artists. It's in bad taste, but a lot of the stuff that I grew up on was in bad taste. Talking about the block and your disrespecting for women. A lot of that was in bad taste, but it tasted good.
Mm-hmm.
The chronic, the chronic. When there's part of me when I hear. Bitches ain't shit. I was like, man, we was wrong for listening to this.
But it sounded so good.
It was in bad taste. Let's just put it out there. That was in bad taste. But it tasted good.
Well, I bet you would still play that song right now. Depending on where you were at.
Might ask Nick to play it tonight.
So,
but I think about there, but I've talked about my disdain for the second NWA album and how not only is that the second half of that album in bad taste, but it tastes bad.
It tastes bad. So you didn't think that she swallowed it tastes good? Because I was going to ask you how did it taste.
So you was going to try to use my words against me.
Building that case. Yeah, man.
On that note,
Drake is going to Drake, and we're just not his target demographic, and he's going to continue to be successful.
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member. All details on newoldheads.com. All right, let's start with this, and then we'll swap over there here in a second. What are y'all's thought on Cardi's BBL smelling?
Oh my God.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Who asked that?
Yeah, shouts to Rage Quit.
Well, since you're a first-time chatter, look,
What do you expect?
it's an you cut an open wound into someone's behind, and these things don't.
Roses really smell like boo-boo.
A lot of times, these things don't
That's the answer.
heal up the way you think.
I mean, they've been said our twerk wins stink.
But I've heard that just BBLs in general, just smell.
That's not true.
Just think from
He's like, no, not in general.
That's
let's
not
just
true.
think from a functional standpoint. I mean, it's usually a really big ass, and unless you have somebody that you hire to clean your ass for you,
They should be able to retch around and clean it out them down.
Well,
maybe they
Cardi
just got a
got
shower every time.
T-Rex arms.
Cardi's got those nails, and so maybe she doesn't want to ruin her. And if she's not paying a personal ass wiper, then maybe it is not as sanitary in that area as you would like to believe.
I saw a video of literally, I don't know if this is related to that, of somebody who was on one of these live streamers talking about how she pays somebody $10,000 to wipe her ass for her because
What?
she had a very large ass, and maybe she couldn't reach it, maybe she couldn't tell, but maybe she's got some dingleberries hanging off there that she don't know about.
Because if you haven't been sporting a large ass for the majority of your life, you haven't. You're walking around here and you don't know the proper protocol to maintain it.
This
You
is
better
true.
get a wash rag.
Wet wipe.
Yeah, something.
You can just hop in the shower after you're done every time, maybe.
I don't know. I think it's deeper than that if it's actually just walk around stinking.
But also, like,
This happens, man.
Stephon Diggs is being mean because, he's moved on.
It's all alleged stuff.
Oh, is that what he said?
I haven't seen
Yeah.
anything that confirmed or denied any of this speculations.
It happens. You ain't messed with a regular girl that had a little toilet paper in her ass.
No, I don't
That
mess
don't
with
mean
those
that it
types.
stunk.
Yeah. Not to the
It
point.
didn't stink, but I've seen some toilet paper in regular asses.
Yeah, regular ass.
Well,
Respectfully.
I love how you had respect.
I love it respectfully. We in here talking about just ass, and all of a sudden it comes into. And shout out to what's good? Hey man, what's good? You came in at a real weird time.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
This is not our regular conversation.
No,
We
it's not.
usually don't do trash hip hop news, but we have somebody that's new to the chat.
we
so,
oblige. So yeah. That's our take on Cardi B.
so shout out to Rage Quit for jumping in.
We're going to do let's do just a lyric breakdown here of Drake's new record. What's it called? What did I
What
miss?
did I miss?
Yeah.
What did I miss?
That's
Can
your
you
Drake.
just make something do it right now? It all sounds the same to me.
Yeah.
All right, so let's switch over to
It does,
free
actually.
talk. Yep. All right, so it starts off. I don't give a F if you love me. I don't give a F if you like me.
Lies.
Yeah, he really cares.
Yeah, I think he cares a lot, actually. Asking me, how did it feel? Can't say it didn't surprise me. So, that's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, this is just a blatant lie.
I think he was very surprised by the reaction to this and how many people sided with Kendrick. I've been a nice guy. Come on, I smile in
Nah,
pictures.
this ain't just him, though. This is Ross.
Yeah, this is people.
Future. I think
Future.
Future hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
I think that one hurt his feelings bad.
Okay, let's see. Last time I looked to my right, you ends was standing beside me. How can some people I love hang around who try me? Let's go.
So he's when he's talking about if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's directed at
Definitely.
at Future and at Kendrick.
Future, Kendrick, Ross,
Metro.
Metro, Weekend.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody that had their hand in that.
Mustard.
He's about to get a case because he's calling people pussies.
Mustard.
I think the interesting thing about this line too, it says, how can some people I hang around?
No,
How
people
can
I
some
love.
people I love hang around? Okay, so
Mhm.
he's kind of positing this in essence in a way that suggests that he's calling them out, but these people actually
Called him out.
called him out and stepped away.
Mhm.
you are not the one who was like, oh, you're hanging around him, I'm not going to mess with y'all no more. No, they called you out and left.
Yeah.
Like, it's different. So what did you miss?
Missed a lot, man.
Yeah, man.
You went over your head.
Now, when I remember hearing this, it's like, okay, let's go. I'm thinking, okay, let's go.
Yeah, what you got? What you got for me?
And then he gives you this.
All right, verse 1. I'm whipping around like 600 acres. Let's go.
My house is big.
Okay.
You better not ask for no favors.
Don't worry about it.
Let's go. So he's talking about the same people, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's love for my brothers and death to a traitor. Let's go.
Now, who's the traitor?
I think anybody who's an op, right?
Now, traitor, assume there was some sort of loyalty there.
That's true.
DeRozan.
He has
DeRozan.
He has LeBron's face tatted
Ross.
on him.
Yeah, that's.
Oh yeah.
Future.
I mean, that's what kind of what you get for having another man's face tatted on your body.
Hey, Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say
he's
Well-
considered a traitor.
Well, there was that moment where they had him singing the lyrics to "They Not Like Us," and then he said he never heard the
Yeah,
song
like he-
after that.
I
but
didn't
they had
know
that
this
video.
song was
Yeah.
about Kendrick and Drake.
Yeah.
Like,
Look, that's what did I miss is what Lil Wayne should have called his album.
Yeah.
Because he misses a lot.
He missed a whole
Yeah.
lot. One of the traitors might be the director of Drake. Not
the
Drake,
video?
but Kendrick and
The woman?
SZA's video.
It might have been everybody at Universal Music.
Might have been.
That's true. It's she might decide to say no to me now, but say yes to me later. Let's go.
SZA.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Her ass is all natty like Florida Gator.
That's not SZA.
No,
Is that
not at all.
Uh,
Gotta
Hold on,
put something there in, ladies.
Hold on,
I feel like this is just like he just
Yeah.
went
hold on.
sideways.
I'm
just
now,
random banter.
Because I was thinking about like Doechii. Like,
No, because Doechii she hasn't had a
procedure.
she hasn't had a relationship like
But she's a
working. I mean, she's from Florida.
Florida Gator and the alligator bites never heal, but I don't think she's ever worked with Drake.
Oh,
has
Now,
she?
is
no,
that
yeah.
where this? Because I'm trying to even figure out the context of her ass is all natty like
Natural.
Like
what?
all natty, like the
So-
what do they call the NCAA
national
football
champion.
National
Yeah.
champ.
So that's the bar, but she might decide to say
that would make sense if they were the national champions.
So check this bar out. She might decide to say no to me now because she's aligned with TDE and all them,
Mhm.
but say yes to me later. Her ass is all natty like Florida Gator. Maybe he's trying to say that like
Doechii coming around.
Doechii will come around because
doubt
he's a hit maker.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't either, but or I do. Yep. All right, you switched on the guys and supported a hater. Let's go. What's the get back for ends? It's to be determined. I look at the shit like Bitcoin. Could be down this week, then I'm up next week.
Yeah.
All right.
Great guy.
Great guy. Shouts to
Shout out
Brad.
DJ Spools.
Shout out to
DJ
Spurs.
Cruz in the comment said Serena, maybe Serena Williams.
Ah.
Serena married. She ain't thinking about you.
Yeah, no, definitely
Stop
not.
commenting on married women. That's not fly.
Weird, man. Chorus. I don't give a F if you love me. I don't give a F if you like me.
Once
Asking
again,
me,
lies.
how did I feel it? Can't say it didn't surprise me. Last time I looked to my right, you were standing beside me. How blah, 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 blah. Let's go. See Drake live. Get your tickets as low as $59. You might.
Yeah.
Let's go to verse 2. Yeah, and punch me in the face on some TLC shit on the dead guys.
Hold on. Once again, I'm trying. Maybe I'm slow. Are you talking
This
about?
is referencing.
Hold on, there's more. There's
Okay.
more. Okay, some TLC shit because my end. You gonna need a chili ice pack for your left eye.
That was terrible.
Boo. Boo.
That was fucking terrible. I'm sorry.
bars.
Do.
Oh
Dude.
man, where's T-Boz? She should not get a show.
Yeah, he left
He
it.
couldn't
he
find
left
a way to
her
work
out.
T-balls in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drake ain't got no balls.
Kendrick would have made sure. I'm
Yep.
just talking shit.
Kendrick did it. I'm back in your city tonight, walking around with my head high. I saw bro went to pop out with them, but he been dick riding gang since headlines. Who's that?
DeMar.
Brian Durant.
Ah.
Or LeBron.
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like the only people that are around Drake are literally dick riders. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
You want to talk.
Every time he's in pictures with anybody that plays sports, it looks like
Like he's
he's
the
the
bad
one that's
bitch.
dick riding.
This
that's
is
what I mean.
true.
That's what I mean. Like, he always looks like the super fan. Anyways,
This is true.
It feels like nobody's there until you start giving out two tones, and nobody cares until they front on your tombstone. Y'all been on that type of timing for too long. Iceman Tiffany Bluestones. I done made plenty shit right out of two wrong. Shit, let's go.
Giving out two. This car talk.
I'm thinking it's probably Rolex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tiffany Bluestones. Nobody cares until they in front of your
Giving out
tombstone.
watches, you know how
Gotcha.
bosses give out watches today. They know your
Iceman.
guys and all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Verse 3. Maybe he brings it on home here.
What did I miss? When I was looking at y'all and cooking with y'all and giving out verses and bookings to y'all, making sure wires were hit, man, what did I miss? When you was all in my crib looking at hoes, word for word, at all of the shows, you always felt like this. Man, what did I miss?
That's the only verse he has a point.
Yeah, kind of, except Drake. Did you miss the entire last year? You were a part of it.
Yeah.
I mean...
But that's
And
literally
they
the
told
only
you-
verse where that whole verse where he's talking about hits that he helped create with these people.
Yeah.
Those are facts. There's a lot
Sure.
of people that
Even Kendrick.
got hits from Drake. I mean,
Yeah, even...
everybody knows that.
Drake, these industry people are not friends. You should have learned that from 50.
No, that's all.
You should have
about.
learned it from Q-Tip.
It's all about getting popping. I mean,
40-80.
Yeah. But you played a part in it as well, brother.
A major part.
You know, some of these people do not mess with you for a reason, brother.
he should have abided by his song "No New Friends" and not made any new friends.
Yeah. Take your own advice. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, so what did I miss? Apparently not much.
Brother.
I don't know if I'll be... I know I won't be playing this record, but, you know, good for y'all that love it. Shouts to all the Drake people that have come out since this has dropped, and they felt a little bit safer to kind of present themselves back into the ecosphere of, hip-hop commentary, thinking that he cooked everybody on this. But as we just went through, he ain't cooking with much.
Who
So,
said he was cooking?
we're all content creators out here.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of people.
Mhm.
I think part of his rollout too is he's
Paying
said
content
that
creators.
he's gonna fly content creators out to
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
some kind of live
Damn sure
stream
won't
or
be
something
us.
like that. It won't be any other people that he listed in the affidavit either.
Whoa, yeah, that's true.
Because he listed a lot of streamers.
Well, shouts to y'all.
Academics will be there.
Oh, of course. He
Maul will be there.
salivating. He came. This will be the first time he actually met Drake in person, if he's picked to go to it.
Maul will be there.
Oh, Maul, he's terrible.
Cassinet, what? I don't know.
No, he was in
He
the
was supposed to
affidavit.
do what Kai and him were supposed to do something a few weeks ago. Matter of fact, they were supposed to do something the same night that the Kendrick show was in Canada, and somehow it got canceled.
He missed it.
Who missed it?
Drake. What?
Oh, Drake.
That's one of the things he missed.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. These are facts.
Hammer started the East Coast West Coast War.
Whoa.
Okay.
Give it to me.
Okay.
Pause.
All right. In his very first national video, that when he was on Capitol Records,
Pump
Pump It
talking
Up.
about Run DMC.
in the beginning of the video, he has these three dudes in the Godfather hats and dirty white tees talking about, "Oh, Hammer, why you do this to me?" And it's like it can't be nobody else but Run DMC. And the thing is, like, it didn't come out of nowhere that people on the East Coast didn't like Hammer. All right, for you to diss, who are you to say anything about Run DMC? Run DMC is why anybody can go tour in an arena right now. So for him to jump out the window and in his first national look, diss Run DMC, he's the one who kicked off a lot of bad feelings on the East Coast about not only Hammer, but just the West Coast in general. And so, like, when you watch the Gas Face video, like, you got to realize
They was on him.
That was on.
But that's Def Jam. You notice DMC is in that video. And so that's where a lot of, you think LL, that sat well with him. That's why LL had to put him on the Break of Dawn. So
And Ice-T.
see, yeah, Ice-T, that was a whole thing about LL, them not wanting to put LL in the Zulu Nation. There's a lot of science behind that.
Okay.
Because
Damn it.
Ice-T was down with Africa Islam, who had connects to the Zulu, so Ice-T was tied in with the Zulu Nation. Okay, and they were like, LL wants to be down. and he feels like Ice-T and maybe Africa Islam had a part in him not being down.
I just now picked up that part. That's what he meant by it. What the fuck? I think I conquered the world, crushed Mo D, Hammer, and Ice-T's curl.
Exactly.
Got you. Okay.
So, but honestly, like people just think that might have came out of nowhere. The people on the East Coast not feel Hammer. No. He kicked it off in his first national look.
I can see that, and I seen that, but I don't think it was a lot of animosity like that. It escalated kind of crazy.
And I mean, and I think Hammer kind of answered it in the Turn This Mother Out video where it said, "Hammer, you ain't hitting in New York."
Oh yeah.
So what you got to say about that, Hammer? Now, mind you, MTV Raps was based in New York, and I remember that video played crazy on MTV Raps, especially on the Saturday version. So I'm just saying there was some. Maybe they didn't classify it as East and West then, but here's a dude on the West Coast dancing around, and in his first national look decided he's going to diss basically the kings of hip hop at that time.
Is that why Ice Cube went on them too?
Ice Cube just didn't like anybody who didn't show their teeth.
Coonery. Yeah.
So I thought that was actually unfair of Ice Cube to do that and true to the game. Because you knew who he was talking about.
Niggas always got to show their teeth. Now I'm going to be brief.
And had the dude all damn. It was DJ Pooh, in fact, in the video. I thought that was kind of uncool for Cube to do.
I ain't mad at anybody can get it, man. This is the
I love that record too.
Yeah.
You know what? I loved it, but I felt
fat.
I felt some kind of way about Death Certificate because here I am. My dad's got a nice job in corporate America. I live in the suburbs. I got white, Asian, and Jewish friends. Like some of that stuff made me feel some kind of way. I remember Ice Cube being my.
You felt like you was a sellout.
I was like, was he talking about me and my family? I loved Ice Cube and didn't want to meet him. If somebody said you want to meet Ice Cube, I'd be like, I'm good.
And that is your hip hop history lesson from the new old heads.
Raekwon the Chef is back. Getting ready to drop his 8th studio album. Does Wu-Tang still have an influence is the question. So Raekwon's influence on hip hop culture has really never wavered. Ray's lyrics, fashion, embodiment of the culture have always been and still are received well in today's climate. The Emperor's New Clothes is the name of the new upcoming album on July 18th, and it's featuring a bunch of people. So the question is, can this album influence current trends or serve as a reminder of classic hip-hop values? Does Wu-Tang still have the importance that it once had?
I think it can serve as a reminder. I don't know about setting any new trends. I would love to see what the production team is on this project, man. I would like to see some Al on there.
Conductor.
I would like to see. Ooh, yes, definitely that.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that, because that's one thing I'm used to getting from Raekwon projects is banging beats. So,
yeah.
Look, I think it's going to be a reminder. For those of us old heads who are still like, oh, this, I'm not talking about us sitting at this table, but the people who complain about
the actual old heads.
Yeah, who complain about music being trash and this, that, and the third. Well, you know what? Your favorite artists still make music. Support it. Get out there and make sure that when this record comes out, you show us some love. I still I like everything that Raekwon has put out except Immobilarity, which was terrible.
I was going to ask about that.
There's a couple records on there I like though.
Yes,
Pure too.
But
was Sneakers on that one?
Yeah.
I like pop shit.
That I did like, but whatever the song that does a sample, the Lionel Richie sample, and
most of it I didn't like.
Yeah.
So
no, get out of here with that.
Yeah. I used to literally put that CD in the car and just play the same song over and over again.
I mean, I liked Shaolin versus Wu-Tang that came out well over 10 years ago. He actually had a great song with Rick Ross on that. He knows how to move with the contemporary artists who are of the time. If I just get more Raekwon and a couple songs with Ghost, I'll be happy about that. I'm gonna listen as soon as it comes out. That's what kind of especially anything Raekwon or Ghostface Killer, especially Ghostface Killer.
Ghost is the GOAT out of Wu.
I don't think Do you think if we'd have talked about who was going to be the one that had probably the best solo run?
Nope. Everybody would have thought it was Method Man.
Yeah, we just said that in 1996 that Ghostface Killer was going to be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody would have took that bet.
It depends on the year, because after Supreme Clientele came out, it was like, all right, you're two for two, and honestly, back when I was a super Wu head in like high school and stuff, I think there was like 5 of them that I thought could have had super long, spectacular careers, and Method Man was one of them,
right?
But
yeah, he was absolutely one of them.
But Ghost stuff was my favorite. Actually, Raekwon actually wasn't one of them, to be honest. Like, even though I really liked Only Built for Cuban Links, he's never been one of my favorite rappers from the Wu-Tang Clan, and also Immobilarity was a huge letdown. So,
yeah, I would probably say that this Raekwon album is just for people that currently rock with Wu-Tang Clan. I don't see this. Whenever I hear these questions, it like reminds me of any artist from any generation of any genre. Whenever they drop something, does that change the, scope of whatever genre they're doing just because they are who they are? No, they're just dropping new music.
Yeah.
Satisfying, their fandom, their fan base that they've already created. I never see anybody dropping anything from these legacy groups that are going to drive more attention and create some kind of cultural storm that's going to change, it from going here on forward. I never see
So you're
that.
talking about legacy acts specifically, that's it?
Yeah. Like people that have been around forever, and I mean, they're always welcome to continue to drop music and give us art and, do things. But I never see anybody dropping and creating a new influence. I just don't see that. If anything,
Will?
Nah.
what did that influence?
Nah.
Smith?
What did that influence that he just dropped?
No, you being funny.
It's not influencing nothing. If anything, they're dropping music that might make somebody be like, all right, I might go back and check out some of their other stuff. But past that, I don't see this being like this big grand ordeal that a lot of people see when
I don't either.
Any of these people drop.
Yeah, I don't. I think Wu-Tang's time for influence was in the 90s.
Yeah, it's a rap.
And they did what they were supposed to do and then some, and they continued their legacy for a very long time. But I don't think that type of influence is supposed to span over decades and stuff like that. I think they did what they're supposed to do. Many of those members had really long, successful careers.
Yeah,
that are continual. There's like 5 or 6 of the members that are still like really, 4 to 6 are doing like a lot of really good stuff even on the underground. But outside of the Wu-Tang symbol, and people wanting to like Wu-Tang because, like t-shirts, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to buy it. If you see it, you might see a kid with a Wu-Tang t-shirt.
Exactly. I seen a kid with a Tupac shirt the other day. Once you cross that threshold where your band shirt can be sold at any store in America or in the world, period. I mean, that's your mark that you left.
Yeah.
Because people walk around with your logo on you that know nothing about what you did.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I think Wu-Tang is for the most part. Now, but I do think that they are the type of and then I'll let you talk, Byron, but I think they are the type of group that they will always, because of their massive influence in the 90s, they will always have new, younger people go back and check out their old stuff.
Yep. That's the only piece that I can speak on as far as being something that create new cultural values from a hip hop fan, so to speak, is them going back and checking out your catalog. I don't see anything new that you're dropping like being this big ordeal though.
Yeah. It's just like the jazz artists and stuff, or people that were dropping crazy stuff in the 70s and 80s, and then they continue to make music in the 90s and the 2000s.
Yeah.
But nobody was checking for it because they like the old stuff. You know what I mean? So,
at a certain point, Earth, Wind and Fire never stopped making. They still had albums came out in the 80s. But we still running Reasons in September, and that's not a knock against them or whatever they were able to do. But look, all I know is I saw a video last night of the Wu-Tang their concert, their farewell concert, if you will, which I hey, I don't believe it's farewell because, there's always some more money to get. Because I think the Rolling Stones have been doing farewell concerts for 40 years now. And I saw it had to be 10 to 15,000 people. I mean, this is an arena tour. And they weren't all, 45, 50 years old.
Right.
There are some new people being brought into the fold. Maybe their parents brought them. I don't know. But, the fact that they're still able to do this speaks to what Wu-Tang really means to the culture and why someone like me is still excited for a Raekwon album.
Yep.
So look, if I will listen to almost any, you know what? I'm more apt to listen to Wu-Tang if it's Ghost, Inspector Deck, or Ghostface. If I see a whole Wu-Tang album, I'll be like, eh.
The last one actually wasn't bad.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, even though I enjoyed, it's hard for me to figure out exactly what that was supposed to be, but I still enjoyed it because I enjoy Wu-Tang.
Well, this new album's got... Sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, because I'm going to pivot. So.
Okay, so the new album's going to have West Side Gun, Benny the Butcher, Conway the Machine, Method Man, Ghostface, Nas, Stacey Barth, Marsha Ambrosius, and production from Swiss Beats, Knots, Justice League, Frank G, and Rhodes Art. No idea who that is.
That's so unfair that we do that to Swiss.
So there is no Alchemist or Conductor Williams. Or
at least from what I saw
Derringer.
here. Yeah.
Damn.
Don't even say RZA.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably a good thing.
As
too.
long as no Dre on there, because I don't like that Dre and Raekwon thing. I don't like it.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was on Q and Link too.
Yeah. Speaking about Wu-Tang, I think we talked about this maybe on a previous show that I was on here with you guys. Is there or can there be another Wu-Tang type clique ever again?
Could be.
I think it kind of depends on...
Or has there been?
Like, it depends on, like, how we define them. Like, because there's been cliques, right? But you have to think of, like, the perfect storm that kind of happened for Wu-Tang to exist, when it did, how it did. It's like RZA's style of production was just super unique at that time. He brought all these people together that were essentially kind of from the same place. A lot of people were related to each other, knew each other from high school and even probably younger than that. But then it became such I think it was the perfect storm for Wu-Tang because nobody had seen anything quite like that before. We've seen crews pop off post that. You could say that Brockhampton was kind of like that in their own type of way. You could say that Odd Future was like that in their own type of way. That's who I was pointing to, man. But you could say Pro Arrow was like that in their own type of the ASAP mob, like Save Money, Treated Crew. Like these are people that tried that approach. Cut Camp, like we tried that approach, but Wu-Tang was just.
Pioneers.
It's just but it was like they're bigger than pioneers because they not only pioneered it, but they created something that I don't think can be replicated.
Nah, their execution was flawless, honestly.
Yeah.
Regardless of how you feel about them, as far as the newer material that materializes and the beats that you might not enjoy, but what they did was monumental. You can't really deny that. But I think we actually had that conversation before and we brought up Odd Future as far as being
the closest thing to him.
Probably the closest thing to him, especially from a talent level, because multiple artists emerge from that. There's people that people don't even know were in Odd Future.
Did they put out a full collective project, like album?
I don't
know. I mean, I think that's another one of the big differences about...
They did, yeah. They had the Jack in the Box symbol on it.
But like when you think of 36 Chambers, Wu-Tang Forever,
Jesus,
the W, like getting this many people a part of something, you could say Iron Flag. That's kind of where it stops for me.
Boo boo.
No, mine starts at the W.
Mine really stops at the W. But part of the Iron Flag was okay to me. But
was that the one with Gravel Pit?
No, that was the W.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always gave every one of the albums a chance, though.
Up until Iron Flag. That's when the one afterward. It was like
better. 8 diagrams.
8 diagrams are Better Tomorrow. One of those two. I don't know.
Is that the one the Shirley dude?
No, that was
that's far after
Silver Rings and No one's heard that.
No. Well, yeah, true.
No one we know.
But yeah, that I don't. But like they were known as a group too, so it wasn't like a crew. So that's also a difference between like Odd Future and a Brockhampton or even the Pro Era. Like this was a crew.
It was. And
of related people.
Yeah, and what made it unique is that so they dropped Enter the 36 Chambers. Then immediately after that was Method Man solo project. Then you got who was next?
Old Dirty Bastard?
ODB. Well, I don't know if he was next. Might have been Jizza. Anyway, but everybody had
their thing.
Had their own record, their own personal record. And I knew a lot of people that rocked with all of them. Yeah. At least that first drop. Everybody's first album actually was pretty decent if you look back.
Yeah, for sure.
So they set the No Limit blueprint.
Great.
I'm just being, you know what I'm saying, nice. As a collective to drop that many albums and they all were like, hey, I'm actually rocking with this. Or you had a handful of songs off of each one of those releases that you actually liked.
It wasn't like No Limit where it was just like every week.
Yeah, I mean, it took some time, but the difference was P actually, he signed all them people and they all came up under him.
Yeah.
As opposed to.
But I'm just saying, like, the contrast is.
The product was better.
It's, yeah.
Yeah.
But even still, like, we're talking about a group. And I don't know, like, you could even go to, even at the same period of time, like, even if you talk about, like, the Dungeon family, it's kind of the same type of way how that was built out. But it wasn't a group.
They had one album.
But it wasn't a group.
Yeah, it wasn't really.
It was like it's like
it
a
was
label.
So far after
they worked
time.
collectively together on a lot of their stuff.
It's not like, hey, come to so-and-so arena to see the Dungeon family.
Yeah.
But also like to have all the members buy into, we are the Wu-Tang Clan. This is what we're going to do. We're going to put our faith in RZA. We're going to trust what he's doing and we're just going to rock with it. And if you think about it, it was kind of weird. Like it's all this kung fu stuff going on, different, like it was a little bit different.
But
it was way different.
It was shit that people identify with. I remember watching them same kung fu movies.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? On like Friday nights or Saturday. Yeah. So it kind of resonated with the people that were coming up at the time.
But it was super niche,
as far as music is concerned.
Super niche, like just the entire thing. Like to lean as far into it as they did and for it to be as big is kind of crazy.
But even with you talk about the kung fu, and this is when it was so many references to the comic books and stuff. And this is before the MCU. So like, they'd be talking about stuff from comic books and it was kind of niche. Anything from 80s cartoons or action flicks from Hong Kong. These were not things that were in the mainstream. It's not like they were doing a bunch of Star Wars and Indiana Jones references. They were doing things where you had to already know what it was to make it make sense.
Yeah.
And I just think, and even from a business side, I don't think they'll ever be able to pull off something like that ever again where, okay, we're going to sign the group to Steve Rifkin over Loud, but we have an option any one of these guys to go anywhere they want. There's absolutely no way somebody would be like, okay, we'll sign the group, but we got the option to maybe they did that first right of refusal, but the fact that Method Man was on Def Jam, Old Dirty Bastard was on Elektra, Sony had Ghostface Killer. Raekwon stayed with Loud, and they all could still work with each other. Exactly, it wasn't like, oh, we can't do this because they won't allow Jizza to be in Inspector Deck's video. Yeah, it'll never happen again. Reason why it'll never happen again is there are too many resources, and there are too many people that want to be the front man anyway. Nobody's going to fall in line the same way that they did back then. People aren't as hungry to get into the music business as they were, or as a lot of artists back then, because the goal was to get a record deal. Now you can just put out whatever you want to put out, and if something sticks, they come looking for you. So I don't think that type of situation will ever happen again.
Yeah. To answer your question, I don't think it can. I don't think it has, and I don't think it will. Like on any plane, almost. Like I just watched I've seen it before, but me and my wife have been watching South Park front to back because it's funny, and also, she's learning English, like all the nuances of it, and it's a great way to learn it. But we watched one of their mini documentaries, which is like in 6 days or whatever it's called, where they pretty much return, they make an episode in 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
And even the level of buy-in that like something like their team has to have for them to produce what they did at such a high level is something you just don't see. It's just like the amount of people that have to be thinking and on the same page, and it's all dependent upon Trey and Matt, whatever, to do this thing and come up with the ideas. Even though they have a team and all this stuff, it's like that stuff in general is kind of rare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see that happening even in that particular, medium or genre ever again.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll never forget, and this is how I knew how crazy it was with their turnaround. I don't know if you guys remember the Terry Schiavo case. It's kind of a dark turn. But I remember they had jokes like right after she died. It was like, it wasn't even 24 hours.
Yeah.
And they had a reference to it in the episode for that week.
Yeah.
I mean, just crazy.
But it's just like that type of, I still think that type of buy-in works, but it's just really hard to like, you just don't see it anymore. You just don't see it like across any plane anymore. So, because that's the only way that the Wu-Tang Clan could have worked. It was like everybody had to be bought into it. Everybody had to be, at least for an X period amount of time. So,
or at least until it was like, okay, you've established enough on your own to where you don't have to wait for, like, and that was kind of the issue in Wu-Tang, is like some people had to wait on Wu-Tang to get money.
But that's the thing. It's like we are building Wu-Tang together. Everybody has their individual thing. We are going to set you up to do your individual thing, and then we'll come back to Wu-Tang collectively. But everybody's going to be set up to do their thing, to be able to take it where they can take it.
Right.
I think that's a good path. We've recently talked about that stuff even. But like, I think that's a good model. But
Yeah.
Episode 443 of the New Old Heads podcast with Brother to the Night sitting in for Maja 7th this week. Shouts to y'all for tuning in. Make sure you check out our patreon.com/newoldheads. Give us those likes, all that good stuff. See y'all next week.
Oh, yeah.